The old woman stood alone in the middle of the busy city square, clutching a faded cloth bag against her chest as people hurried past her without a second glance. Her gray hair was messy from the wind, her shoes were worn thin, and her clothes looked as if they had survived decades of hardship. A sudden stumble sent her bag falling to the ground, spilling a few oranges across the sidewalk. Instead of helping, several people laughed. One young man pulled out his phone to record her embarrassment. Another woman shook her head in disgust and called her a burden on society. The old woman bent down slowly, trembling as she tried to gather her belongings while tears filled her tired eyes. Before we continue, if you believe kindness still matters and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories to people around the world. The city was bright with sunshine that morning. Office workers rushed toward towering buildings, tourists snapped photos, and expensive cars glided through crowded streets. Yet among all the noise and movement, nobody seemed to notice the pain written across the old woman's face. Nobody except one person. A 19-year-old college student named Marissa Hale had just finished her morning class and was walking toward her part-time job at a small bookstore. Marissa lived a difficult life herself. She worked long hours to pay tuition, helped care for her younger brother, and constantly worried about rent. Yet despite her struggles, she had never lost her ability to care for others. When she saw the old woman struggling on the sidewalk, she immediately rushed over. Marissa ignored the laughter around her and knelt beside the woman. She carefully picked up each orange and placed them back into the bag. Then she helped the woman stand and guided her to a nearby bench under the shade of a tree. The old woman looked at her with surprised eyes. No one had shown her kindness all day. Marissa noticed that the woman's hands were shaking. She bought her a bottle of water and a sandwich from a nearby cafe using the little money she had left for lunch. The old woman tried to refuse, but Marissa insisted. As they sat together, the old woman introduced herself as Eleanor Whitmore. Her voice was gentle, but there was a sadness hidden beneath every word. Marissa learned that Eleanor had traveled to the city alone. She seemed lost and tired, though she never fully explained why. She simply smiled and thanked Marissa repeatedly for her kindness. For nearly an hour, the two talked like old friends. Marissa spoke about her dreams of becoming a teacher someday. Eleanor listened carefully, asking thoughtful questions and encouraging her every step of the way. When it was finally time to leave, Marissa reached into her backpack and handed Eleanor a small folded note containing her phone number. She told her that if she ever needed help, she could call anytime. Eleanor's eyes became watery. She squeezed Marissa's hand and quietly thanked her before they parted ways. Marissa never expected to see her again. But life had other plans. The following week brought one challenge after another. Marissa's landlord announced a rent increase she could barely afford. Her bookstore job reduced employee hours because business had slowed. Meanwhile, tuition payments were approaching, and her younger brother needed school supplies. Every night she lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering how she would survive the coming months. Still, she continued pushing forward. One afternoon, while working at the bookstore, she received a mysterious phone call. The voice on the other end politely asked her to attend a private event at one of the city's most luxurious hotels. At first, Marissa assumed it was a mistake. She had never been invited anywhere remotely fancy. The caller assured her that her presence was specifically requested. Confused but curious, Marissa agreed. 3 days later, she arrived at the Grand Hotel. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Elegant guests filled the ballroom. Wealthy business leaders, politicians, and celebrities mingled beneath sparkling lights. Marissa felt completely out of place. Her simple dress and modest shoes seemed insignificant compared to the luxury surrounding her. As she stood near the entrance wondering whether she should leave, the crowd suddenly became silent. All eyes turned toward the stage. A distinguished man in his 40s stepped forward. His name was Victor Whitmore. Everyone in the room recognized him instantly. Victor was one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the country. His companies employed thousands of people, and his fortune was worth billions. Marissa had seen him on television countless times. She could hardly believe she was standing in the same room. Then something even more shocking happened. Victor smiled and gestured toward someone walking onto the stage. It was Eleanor. The same elderly woman people had mocked in the city square. The same woman who had eaten lunch beside her on a park bench. The same woman everyone had ignored. Gasps echoed throughout the ballroom. Marissa stood frozen. Victor wrapped his arm around Eleanor and began speaking. He explained that Eleanor was his mother. A woman who had sacrificed everything to help him build a better future. A woman who had worked multiple jobs, skipped meals, and endured years of hardship so her son could pursue his dreams. Victor revealed that despite his wealth, his mother often preferred traveling alone because she wanted to experience life without special treatment. She believed a person's true character was revealed by how they treated those who appeared powerless. During her recent visit to the city, Eleanor intentionally dressed simply and avoided revealing her identity. What she witnessed broke her heart. Most people ignored her. Some mocked her. Others treated her as if she were invisible. But one young woman had stopped. One young woman had chosen compassion over convenience. One young woman had shown genuine kindness without expecting anything in return. Victor looked directly at Marissa. The spotlight found her in the crowd. Tears immediately filled her eyes. Eleanor smiled warmly from the stage. The ballroom erupted into applause. Marissa felt overwhelmed. She had never done anything extraordinary. She had simply helped another human being. Yet that simple act had changed everything. Victor invited Marissa onto the stage. As she walked forward, hundreds of guests stood and applauded. Her hands trembled. Her heart raced. Eleanor embraced her tightly. The old woman whispered that kindness like hers was rare and precious. Then Victor made an announcement that left the entire room speechless. He revealed that his family had established a foundation dedicated to helping students overcome financial obstacles. After hearing Marissa's story from his mother, he had personally reviewed her situation. He offered to pay her remaining college tuition in full. Not only that, but he also arranged educational support for her younger brother and provided resources to ensure their family could remain financially stable. Marissa couldn't hold back her tears. Years of stress, fear, and uncertainty suddenly poured out all at once. The audience watched as she covered her face and cried. For the first time in years, she could see hope on the horizon. Yet the greatest gift wasn't financial. It was the reminder that kindness still mattered. That doing the right thing was never wasted. That every act of compassion created ripples beyond what anyone could imagine. News of the event spread quickly. Videos and articles appeared across the country. People who had laughed at Eleanor felt ashamed after learning the truth. Many reflected on how quickly they judged someone based solely on appearance. Others were inspired by Marissa's example and began volunteering, helping neighbors, and supporting local charities. One small act of kindness had sparked countless others. Months passed. Marissa continued her education and excelled in her studies. She eventually became a teacher, fulfilling the dream she had shared with Eleanor on that sunny afternoon in the park. Years later, she often told her students an important lesson. She explained that every person carries a story invisible to the world. The tired cashier, the lonely neighbor, the struggling parent, and the elderly stranger on a park bench all deserve compassion. Because kindness should never depend on wealth, status, or appearance. It should simply be given because it is the right thing to do. Special request: comment below with the word kindness if you believe one small act of compassion can change someone's life forever. As the years passed, Marissa and Eleanor remained close friends. Their unlikely friendship became a source of inspiration for everyone around them. Whenever people asked Eleanor what impressed her most about Marissa, she always gave the same answer. It wasn't the help with the oranges. It wasn't the sandwich or the water. It wasn't even the phone number she offered. It was the fact that Marissa saw a human being where everyone else saw a problem. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. The world often celebrates success, power, and wealth. But true greatness is found in the moments when nobody is watching, when there is nothing to gain, and when kindness is offered freely. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Your engagement helps spread messages of hope, compassion, and humanity to people who may need them most today. Because sometimes, the person everyone ignores is carrying a story that can change lives. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the beginning of a miracle.